Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Kay Kritiques, where we discuss all things South African television. In today's video, we are going to be discussing Law, Love and Betrayal Season 1 Episode 8, titled Personal Reasons. Now, in the previous episode, we left off with the emancipation case where Gugu wants to take on this emancipation case to get this child emancipated from their parents so that they can do a sex change and start transitioning. Gatsha disagrees with all of this and wants to cut them loose and tells Gugu, listen, I don't want to take on this client. You are going to do what I say. This is my law firm and I am your boss. We are cutting them loose. He starts quoting the Bible. He quotes Genesis 1:27, where he's like, God made them male and female. And I'm like, okay, Gatsha, I hear you. Genesis 1:27 does say all of that. What about all the other parts that you disregard? You can't now say, oh, I don't like gay people. I disagree with people being part of the LGBTQ community because the Bible says this, but you are sleeping around. Like, there's nothing that has shown me so far that Gatsha is a man of principle. In episode 1, he bamboozled people and scammed them out of millions for his own greed. He was partnering with the developers and the Mokoena chairperson. But you're going to come and quote the Bible? No. But now, it can't be that you're standing on this, but you disregard everything else that's in the Bible. You're lying, you're cheating, you're stealing. And I don't like when people weaponize the word of God in order to judge other people. Gugu is fighting tooth and nail to be able to keep this case and manages to change his mind. Now, this comes as a shock to everybody. How did Gugu manage to convince him to change his mind? Because we know Gatsha is a very, very, very stubborn man. So what did Gugu do, or what did Gugu say in order to change his mind? Now, Fairs thinks they're dating. Now everybody is convinced these two are dating. There's no other way that she was able to convince him other than the fact that they are hooking up. Because you would never expect for Gugu to be his daughter, right? I do think that Gugu is using the fact that she is his daughter as a weapon. And I really do hope that she plays her cards right and uses it when it really matters. She shouldn't overplay this hand that she has, because when she's gonna need it, it won't be as effective. She did make some valid points. She's like, our reputation will be ruined if we do this. Like, the LGBTQ community will bash us and we will be cancelled. The world is watching, the media is watching. As much as this is how you feel, we can't let them go for no valid reason. Ayanda is fuming and goes at Gugu and her dad. She goes in on Gugu and is like, oh, you're sleeping with him? Do you think he really likes you? Sooner or later, he's gonna mistreat you. I've seen this movie so many times. Oh, do you think you're special just because he's giving you this attention? And we start to see her insecurities are coming out. Ayanda has shown jealousy towards Gugu just because Gatsha has been favoring Gugu. But for me, it's like, even if Gugu wasn't here, your dad still didn't like you. Your dad was favoring James. Your dad favors Trevor. Your dad has never, ever, 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 so many evers, ever shown that he wants to give you special treatment. He's never shown favoritism towards you. He's never even shown you common decency. I've been saying since episode 1 that Gatsha hates Ayanda. Ayanda is only ever jealous of Gugu. I get that it's because she's a woman, but she doesn't dislike Trevor. She doesn't dislike James. In fact, she's even sleeping with James, even though her dad favors James more than her. You're in competition with James for senior partner, but you're still sleeping with him, even though you know that your dad might actually give him this position because he hates you. Weird. Anyways, she actually gets emotional and calls her mom. They talk about the brother. We finally found out the brother's name in the previous episode. His name is Mondli. He's still a mystery, and we don't know what is going on between them. All we knew up until now is that Gatsha had a grudge against Mondli. Mondli is in Sweden. Hopefully we do meet him soon and maybe things will start to click. But for now, we still don't know. Now I'm starting to wonder, because Ayanda said something earlier in the episode where she was like, I understand what you're going through with your parents not approving of your choices, because something like this happened to someone that I know. Like somebody I know went through something similar. She's talking to her mom and is like, how did Gugu manage to convince Ubaba? How did she manage to convince Gatsha to let her take this case on? And now I'm thinking, is the brother gay? That makes sense to me. The way he's been reacting towards the client, that makes so much sense now. Grudge against his own child just because they're gay? That is insane to me, considering everything that we've seen from Gatsha. Now, everybody is suspecting that Gatsha and Gugu are having a secret relationship and they have something going on. It has also gotten to James's attention because these people, they in the office talking privately, they keep having these conversations. We see that Gugu's starting to get special treatment. Ayanda actually goes and confronts Gatsha. Ayanda, girl, I'm gonna need you to stand up. I've been saying this since episode 1. Ayanda's Achilles heel is gonna be her need for approval from her father, because she's gonna keep doing things for his approval and he's never gonna give her that. He'll never ever, he'd rather give that affirmation to a stranger than you. But the one thing that Ayanda says is, please don't marry her. I know I can't convince you to stop sleeping with her. I know I can't convince you to stop whatever the heck you guys are doing, but please just don't marry her. Trevor comes by and they have a chat. She actually does admit that she is jealous of Gugu. And she's like, I am tired of fighting for my father's attention. And I'm like, girl, I'm also tired. I'm only 8 episodes into the show and I'm already tired of you fighting for Gatsha's attention. Like, it's getting stale at this point. And I think this is part of the reason why she struggles with relationships. I think that's the reason why she's with James now, where there's no actual commitment. It's just fooling around. And with Trevor, she got married to him, but she says it's because of their schedules, but they were both lawyers, so Trevor should have been more understanding, right? And every time I see Trevor, I feel like Trevor still has a thing for Ayanda, and that Ayanda divorced him even though he wanted her, and she was cheating on Trevor. We found this out in the first episode when Gatsha was saying, oh, you should stop opening your legs for all these men, which was also insane. How do you even say that to your own daughter? But I feel like she goes for these relationships, so she either sabotages the relationship if it's good, or she goes for emotionally unavailable men because of the relationship that she has with her dad. We find out that our client doesn't have a solid income. They don't have a job. He just started at his job. They're trying to find a loophole in order to determine that he can look after himself and he can make decisions for himself because he's so old. Nkabinde is taking the opposition, and I'm like, Nkabinde, give it a rest. I'm actually tired of you. Like, it's getting a bit pathetic at this point. Like, just move on with your life and do the work. You don't have to battle GNA all the time. But I still want to find out, why does he have so much beef with GNA? I think that would be an interesting portion of the show. Gugu actually brings up some good points in court. Unfortunately, they lost the case. I just want to bring it up again. You are allowed to have an ID at 16 years old. Age of consent for sex in this country is 16 years old. And I think under some loopholes, you can even get married at like 15 in this country. I don't know if that rule has changed or if it's still in effect. Might have to Google that. Don't take me at my word. So like, if you can do all of these things at the age of 16, you can even give consent to medical treatment when you are 16 years old. So why can't you get emancipated from your parents and start living your own life? Those are valid points, but at the same time, I disagree. Because at 16 years old, what does a 16-year-old know? Like, there's so many messed up things in this country. Like, you can literally consent to have sex at 16, but the legal drinking age in this country is 18. Just let that sink in. Anyways, they lost the case and James comes over to the apartment in Santon unannounced. The neighbor saw him driving a nice Mercedes and just trusted him. And I'm like, I'm gonna need the people in Gugu's life to be less trusting. especially in the rape capital of the world. That lady who let James into Gugu's apartment, that is insane to me. You're just letting a random man into a woman's apartment in the middle of the night. And I'm not saying that James is going to do anything bad to Gugu, but imagine if it wasn't James and it was just some random man. Just because he drives a Mercedes, you're just going to let him in? James comes over and brings sushi to console her. And is like, listen, when I lost my first case, I did this. And I just thought it would be a nice thing to do. And well, they're in Santon and Thabo is in Tembisa, so let's eat the sushi and get to know a bit more about each other. We learn a bit more about James. He starts to open up, everything is chilled and I like it. He is jealous of Gatsha, which made me which is funny to me. Like, he is jealous of Gatsha and actually asks Gugu, like, what's going on between you two? Gugu is offended, as she should be. She's like, ew, there's nothing that Gatsha has ever done for me. I worked so hard to get here and I don't want that to be discredited or credited to me sleeping with the boss. And also, you should know me better than that by now, that I would never do that, right? And he's a bit more at ease. I don't even know why James was asking this. Like, you guys are not together, so why do you care? They share a moment and they almost kiss. I was like, yes, my ship is sailing. And then Gugu stops it. I'm like, what? We're gonna get back to that, but let me get this off. Gatsha tells Trevor about the paternity and he discusses that he wants to actually introduce Gugu to the ancestors. Trevor's like, listen, I just spoke to Ayanda earlier and she is not okay. Is going to wreck her because she is not happy with Gugu right now. And we need to consider Ayanda's feelings. And Gatsha's like, okay, I'll give her the position of senior partner. And I'm like, as much as you might give it to her, it's going to be like out of pity. It's going to be like a here, damn. It's not going to be because you feel like she's worked hard enough or that she deserves it. You're just giving it to her to pacify her. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's not giving it to her because she earned it or because he feels like she deserves it. He's giving it to her so that he can bring Gugu into their lives and ease the pain for Ayanda. Of which, that was sad to hear for me, but it is what it is. And now let's get back to the juicy part. So Gugu stopped the kiss. Obviously, she has a boyfriend, and I'm so proud of Gugu. I've been saying that I want James and Gugu to start dating, but at the same time, I do not condone cheating. She needs to break it off with Thabo first before she gets with James. But anyways, so Gugu goes back to Tembisa. James actually goes Ayanda's place. He had previously told Ayanda, listen, I'm not in the mood to have sex today, and left her there to go and buy sushi for Gugu. But after Gugu rejected him, he goes to Ayanda's place. Now this is where it gets tricky for me, because Gugu is with Thabo in Tembisa. James is with Ayanda at her apartment in Santon. I was like, what in the I'll be making love to her through is going on here? They're not doing it because they want to do it with them. They're thinking about each other, fantasizing about James, and James was also doing the same thing with Ayanda. I was like, what? Now the gag is, they were doing all of that and then they stopped it. Both of them. That is interesting to me that they both did that. And I love this. I love being proven right. I feel like some of my takes on this show haven't landed, but this one I've called it from episode 1, and I'm gonna keep saying that until it eventually happens. I'm sure they gagged me with this scene. They gagged me. I was not expecting this, and this was the last scene of the episode. Yeah, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, comment down below your thoughts on Law, Love and Betrayal season 1 episode 8. Please do share this video. It really does help out with the algorithm, and I will see you guys in the next one.